I mean, we do it around, even here, you get on me about leaving the keys in the, driveway ignition and the ignition in the driveway. So when you find a car someone's missing and there's the car unlocked in working order with the keys in the ignition, that's never a good sign.
With no real reason for her to be there. I mean, it's one thing if she was like an avid hiker and they could say, okay, well, we can explain away she's probably out in the woods hiking or she's doing this or that. But Vicki was not the kind of woman that would just drive to some random wooded area and vanish.
And be gone all day or days.
It was not until April 10th of 1997 that Vicki is found. So some months. We're talking August to April.
And I'm going to assume she's not in good shape.
Well, in the meantime, Seth becomes a prime suspect in his ex-wife's disappearance. He meets with police, admits he had custody issues and a pending divorce with Vicki, but he says they were working toward a resolution and a settlement. He's very cooperative, but investigators know, despite having any evidence, the ex is usually the person.
Well, that has happened so many times. It's the reason for that cliche, the ex did it. And you also, even outside of the ex, who stands to gain from this person disappearing? He stood to gain a lot from her disappearing.
Well, and on top of it, he's an attorney.
Right.
He knows how this works.
Exactly.
It is not difficult for him to manipulate, cast suspicion elsewhere. I mean, this is what the man does.
Even if he's not in criminal law, which I'm not sure what type of law he did, he knows he's been through the whole, he knows how it works.
Investigators keep trying to work different angles in the case. Seth admits during the investigation, he is a big gun collector. He's an avid hunter. He's got a huge arsenal of weapons. I mean, he makes no bones about, I've got all these weapons and guns, and so what? In the neighborhood, rumors are swirling about Mary Jean and Joey.
Well, they've been talking about this household, how people do, and gossiping about the whole situation, and I'm sure that the tongues are a-wagging.
The scandalous talk among neighbors and just folks around, including some of the teenagers in town, is that Joey's hitting that.
Well, and that's not good.
Would 33-year-old Mary Jean be sleeping with her 14-year-old soon-to-be stepson?
There's so many reasons that should not happen.
Later, Joey's friends would testify that Joey was having a sexual relationship with this adult woman. Mary Jean would adamantly deny that this was the case. She was not involved with this boy. She would never. This is shocking news. She doesn't know why people would say this. Who knows?
Oh, so in her eyes, it's just a kid carrying on, maybe trying to be cool, but she would never, ever do that.
During the investigation, police question Mary Jean, but she doesn't crack. She indicates she knows nothing about Vicki's disappearance. But police are not happy with these answers. They confront Mary Jean about the pipe bomb. During their investigation, the bomb squad has found hairs inside the bomb, but they're not human. They belong to a dog.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know somebody had a dog. They love that dog.
Mary Jean storms out of the meeting. One of the officers kind of follows her outside and says, this isn't over, right? And she just sort of scoffs at him and leaves. Then the investigation cracks wide open, and this is how all of this plays out. It's pretty interesting. So we're fast forward April of 97. A phone call from the local high school to police proves to be just the clue they need in finding Vicki. Joey is at school, and he's got a swollen face, some bruising. Of course, teachers are concerned and send him to the nurse, who in turn calls law enforcement. Joey tells police that he got into a fist fight with his father, Seth.
Uh-oh.
He's upset. He goes on to say that his father has become increasingly volatile in the past couple of months, often resulting in physical altercations between the two.
Yeah, so it's the whole situation still just going down the drain, just swirling the drain.
Police seize the opportunity to apply pressure on the young man. Joey breaks, admitting to police that he terrorized his adoptive mother, Vicki. He tells police he killed her bird. He acted with Seth to coordinate these psychological attacks on Vicki.
So all the stuff she'd been complaining about all this time was really happening.
Joey also admits that he placed the pipe bomb in Vicki's mailbox. He says Seth had built it, but wanted Joey to put it in the box, which he did.
Oh my God! So that's so sad for her, Vicki, because she really did had all these feelings. Someone's watching me. My tires are slashed. Things are moved around. This is psychological warfare to make her look like she's crazy.
It's like gaslighting her.
And her ex and basically her son, she took this kid and raised him as son, are the people doing it to her.
When Vicki continued refusing to give Seth full custody of Sam, and that pipe bomb didn't work, Seth moved on to plotting other ways to get Vicki out of the picture. Vicki was murdered on August 24th, 1996, and her body was found in a grave in Waterboro, Maine on April 10th, 1997. Police were led to the body by 14-year-old Joey. In December of 1997, Joey agreed with the state to enter a plea of true to a juvenile delinquency petition, confessing that he assisted in helping Seth murder Vicki.
Oh, so now he's state witness, and it's broke wide open. They have everything they need now to move forward.
According to Joey, Seth waited until it was Vicki's visitation weekend or whatever with Sam. The pair normally did the exchange at the Bader household, Vicki's former residence. When Vicki arrived on August 24th, Joey and Sam met her outside. Joey told her Seth was inside the house in the living room and wanted to speak with her. Then Joey took Sam away, kind of down the street a little bit to play while the adults talked. Vicki went inside the house calling out for Seth. And while she's waiting in the living room, Seth creeps up behind her, placing a gun to the back of her ear. He then pulls the trigger.
Damn, that's like a mob hit.
Instantly, Vicki falls to the ground, dead. There was minimal blood on the floor. Joey comes inside the house. Seth orders him to help carry Vicki's body outside to the Jeep.
Yeah, I mean, that's like literally some shit out of a movie. Come up right behind the ear, small caliber weapon. Bullet stays inside the brain, minimal blood, easy cleanup. What a damn monster.
The two scoop Vicki up and carry her out to the trunk of Seth's Jeep. Then they go inside and wipe up the blood that's left behind. Seth then calls Sandro Studo, a hired thug, to pick up Vicki's car and drop it off. Then the father and son take Vicki's body to Maine, where they bury it in a shallow grave.
You reckon where you find a thug or a henchman at? You think there's like a union or something? A Facebook page?
Article I read said that Sandro Studo had been a client of Seth's.
Okay.
But then other information
wasn't so
is
clear.
A little contradictory and says that Mary Jean helped to hire these thugs.
Okay, I thought you could just call their local and say I need a thug next week or a henchman to do some dirty work for me.
The henchman union?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get into more of this here in just a minute. During a search of the Bader home, investigators find a gun room with tons of guns, ammunition, some smokeless powder, antique bullets, including copper bullets, which are no longer manufactured or sold. But it just so happens that that's the bullet in Vicki's head, a .22 caliber copper bullet.
Now, I gotta say, I'm glad that he's a dumbass. So all this unravels and they find out what really happens. But, I mean, picking an antique bullet or a bullet out of production to shoot someone with is stupid. I would go get the most mass-produced, whatever, 3 states over, get someone to go in and buy, whatever, anything besides an antique fucking bullet that is not in production that I have boxes of in my gun room.
Well, this is why you haven't been caught yet. Honey.
That is why I haven't been caught.
Later, when questioned again, Mary Jean changes her tune. Now, Mary Jean describes Vicki as a troublemaker who was dead set on ruining their lives. Seth was growing more and more angry with Vicki. She tells officers that Seth plotted to kill Vicki. She didn't have all the details, but on the evening of August 24th, Joey and Seth allegedly went to dinner together, and when they returned, his Jeep was covered in mud, and they were wearing new clothes.
Oh, yeah, I have dinners like that all the time.
She really didn't give any solid evidence to investigators, but that was her story. She's going to stick to it.
She's distancing herself because we better believe, I'm sure we all believe that she's the type of person who's not going to take the fall for anybody.
At Seth's trial in April and May of 1998 in New Hampshire State Court, Joey testifies against Seth for 4 trial days. The gist of the testimony was that Seth and his girlfriend, Mary Jean Martin, had plotted to murder Vicki, that Seth had hired Sandro Studo to assist in the murder and to dispose of Vicki's car, that Seth had traveled to Maine with Joey a few days before the murder, they located a spot in the woods together, and dug a grave.
Oh, okay.
And that Joey had kept Seth's younger son outside the house while the murder was being committed.
See, even he's a young person, still juvenile, but I don't understand how. I know his emotions are all mixed up, and he has all these thoughts, and he has Seth in his ear, like, some silver-tongued whatever, and poisoning his thoughts and feelings. I've seen that happen to kids, too. But being an active participant in a murder of someone who was a mother figure to you, that's got to say something about you, too. I mean, you're kind of fucked.
Joey says he didn't witness the murder, but according to his testimony, he had been called back into the house by Studo after the murder and witnessed his adoptive father emerging from the basement with a rifle barrel and a spent casing. Joey then helped clean up the blood.
Oh, wow.
Joey also testified that Seth had told him earlier that Seth, was going to shoot Vicki. So he's like, my dad told me he was going to shoot her. Joey further testified that he had then helped Seth transport and bury Vicki's body in Maine, and that on the way home, the two had gone shopping for new clothes because, they were covered in blood and dirt and stuff.
So he was smart enough he's getting rid of the barrel. Sounds like he used some kind of short rifle or something. He's taking the barrel, so that can't be compared. It won't be in his collection. And going through all these precautions, but he still slipped up and just grabbed a bullet that happens to be the antique bullet.
A woman who had regularly cleaned the Bader house testified to statements that Seth and his girlfriend wished Vicki were dead. Vicki's doctor said that Vicki had told him that she remained overweight so that her body would be hard to move if she were killed.
Oh, my God.
She was so paranoid and concerned and knew that something wasn't right that she even confided in her doctor that she thought someone was going to kill her.
But unfortunately, like you pointed out earlier, she didn't break off contact. She didn't insist that we exchange our son back and forth at a public place, at the police department, at the church patrol parking lot, which a lot of good does if they don't help you if something happens. Just saying. But yeah, so she unfortunately, as scared as she was and all this weird stuff going on, she still missed some things she could have done to protect herself.
Well,
have my mom come with me all the time.
I understand. I mean, you never want to think that your partner, even your ex, is capable of harming you in this way. And she probably still had some hope that they were going to be able to work things out as far as, settling the custody. And, she was just a really trusting person. And I think she just didn't, even though all this stuff was going on, she just didn't want to admit that Seth could be responsible or that he could be so dangerous.
Yeah, and all these, which is weird in these situations, every little circumstance, conceding anything, these are all little mini power plays along the way. So,
and when you're in the shit,
yeah,
you don't see how the situation actually is.
You don't.
Right? You're kind of blinded. You're in the middle of it.
Emotions running
There's
hot.
all this shit going on, but people who are outside, friends and family, can say, do this, do that. But when you're in the mix of it, you don't even listen. You don't want to take the advice. I mean, I totally get where she's coming from.
It's true.
There was also a counselor who had once been a marriage therapist for the couple who described experiencing some similar pranks as Vicki.
Oh, wow.
Just weird stuff. Perhaps someone had broken into his office and tampered with some files.
Yeah, so it sounds like these pranks could be coming from Seth. This is how he thinks. And maybe the counselor said he was wrong or put him down in a meeting. So maybe he's that childish.
Well, the counselor even said that he believed that Seth was a sociopath, according to his time with the couple.
Okay.
And that he felt like Seth was completely capable of doing all these things.
Wow, and that's a objective third party who's had very limited contact. So that says a lot.
Seth maintained his innocence. He said Mary Jean and Joey were having an affair. His defense argued that Joey and Mary Jean set him up so they could access his money. But jurors did not buy this